Hi everyone, it's Shannon. Welcome back to my channel. I know that budget-friendly Dollar Tree DIYs are some of your favorite videos, so today I put together a compilation of 10 farmhouse-style home decor ideas for you all using Dollar Tree supplies. So let's go ahead and jump right in. This very first project is definitely one of my favorites. It is a candle holder using mini flower pots and wooden discs from Dollar Tree. So to prep my wood discs, I just sanded them down so they were smooth and then moved on to my painting technique, which you'll see in several different of the projects I'm going to share with you today. I painted everything with a coat of the gray chalk paint first, including the wooden discs. Let those dry, and then I came back in with a white chalk paint and basically just dry brushed over the gray. I still wanted some of the gray to show through. What this does is it gives it sort of a weathered wood look. And then I just used my E6000 glue to adhere everything together. I put some on the rim and the top of the first pot and then just switched them back and forth before topping it with the last wood disc, and then added a little bit of greenery and a candle to the top, and it looks like a beautiful home decor piece now. Honeybees were definitely popular this summer with the farmhouse look. I love this tiered tray that I used my little honeybee hive on. I'm using a plastic planter from Dollar Tree as well as their nautical rope. I basically just flipped the pot upside down and hot glued the rope onto the entire thing, wrapping all the way up to the top, or what's actually the bottom of the planter. To make the top, I cut a section of rope and made a loop on the top. I glued that loop underneath the rest of the rope that I'm going to wind around it. If you love the nautical rope from Dollar Tree as much as I do, give this video a thumbs up. It's definitely one of those items I can't live without. For the opening, I just glued on a circle of black felt and then covered the edges up with a smaller jute. Last, I tied on a little bit of buffalo check ribbon to the top, and as you can see, I have it tucked into a cute little tiered tray display. This trellis door was definitely a eye catcher. I loved how this turned out. I'm basically using these garden gate pieces from Dollar Tree that I cut down in half, and I ended up using 2 of these to cut down 4 pieces total. I also used a 3rd piece to cut out the scrolls that you'll see at the top. Here is the basic layout of those plastic pieces, along with a piece of 1x12 at the bottom that is 18 inches long. And I'm also using wood lattice pieces for the trim, really inexpensive at the hardware store, and you can cut these down with a handsaw and a miter box. And then I'm using some double-sided adhesive to adhere them to that bottom piece. That's what's going to kind of help give this whole thing a nice support, and so it'll stand up for us. I also added a top piece to keep everything nice and framed out. And then I moved on to painting this. So you definitely can stain this with a wood stain, or what I like to do is use an acrylic paint in the color Traditional Burnt Umber. And basically I just put on a thin coat, and it's sort of transparent so you can still see through to the wood grain. So it gives it that wood stained look without the extremely long dry time that wood stain has. And once it was dry, I also used those same double-sided adhesive strip pieces and adhered the plastic Dollar Tree pieces to the back. So here's what it looked like flipped over on the back side. Then you want to flip it over to the front, and you're going to add one last piece of trim to this section right here, and that just finishes the whole piece off. I love this little bird cage too. I have a little candle displayed in it, but there's so many different things you can use this for. I'm starting with some wire from Dollar Tree and a 4-inch disc that I got from Hobby Lobby. And it has this little channel around the bottom. It's sort of like a plaque. And I just molded that wire around that routed out edge and tied it so it would stay in place and together. Next, we're going to cut 6 pieces and make them as tall as you want your bird cage to be, about twice that length. So basically we're going to make arches out of these pieces, and that's going to make the shape of our bird cage. So what you do is you make little loops on the end and tie those around that round circle base that we started with. Start with an X, you'll see here what that looks like, and then you're going to keep building off of that so that you have all 6 pieces secured to the bottom. Now to secure the top, I took an extra length of wire and just twisted around where the centers of all of those arch pieces met. And then I made a hook so that it would look like the bird cage could hang. I just doubled up my wire and then wound it around that center mark. I ended up spray painting mine a matte black finish, but I would love to hear what you would use your bird cage for. Would you use it for springtime and put little birdies and nests in it? Would you use it for Christmas time and add some greenery? Let me know down in the comments below how you would display your piece. I definitely feel like this was one of the most simple farmhouse DIYs that I've done this whole year, that took no time and also has the most beautiful finished look. I'm starting with 3 vases from Dollar Tree and spray painted them all white. Also, to make sure I had gotten down into the insides of the vases so you didn't see those if your greenery didn't cover them up. And then I just took some heavy jute, this is 4-ply, and wound it around the middle a few times, tied it into a knot, super simple. And then Dollar Tree has some chalkboards that have little clips on the back. I wrote home on mine, so you could really write whatever you like onto yours, and then clipped it onto the jute. Super simple, so quick, and so easy. Now onto the flip side of the last one. This is probably the more involved DIY I did using Dollar Tree items. It is this side table. It's a really basic and simple concept. It just takes a little bit of time and measuring to get all of the pieces worked out right so that they would work. And so I did have to cut down some dowel rods, and these are going to be the support middle pieces. I'm using plunger handles for the legs, so the taller lengths. And here I'm just cutting these down. I will put a link down in the description box to the full tutorial on this. It will include all of the sizes that you'll have to cut your pieces to. But here's just the main gist of this. I did drill holes into those plunger legs that we're going to later insert those dowel rods into. You want to do this on both ends, equal lengths on all 4 legs. Now, like I said, we're going to be inserting those dowel rods into the plunger handle legs using some wood glue. You just want to put your wood glue into the hole and then smush and hammer in your dowel rods into those holes. We're going to make 2 separate pieces. So you're going to put a full length one into the top of the first one, a full length one into the bottom of the second one, and then those 2 extra pieces that we cut down to size are going to go in the other 2 holes on these. And you'll see in just a minute why we had to cut these 2 in half. They're actually going to crisscross in the middle, and that's going to allow for space for the other dowel rods. Now, I highly recommend letting your wood glue dry to the recommended time. It's super strong once it's had time to cure. Once it's dry, you want to insert your pieces and intersect them in the middle and use more wood glue and let that dry completely. Once it's completely dry, then you can move on to finishing it. I painted mine white, but these are made of wood, so you could even wood stain it if you want. And then to add some extra security, I did take some jute and wrapped the cross points of those dowel rods and added even more glue underneath there to kind of secure it all together. And then to cover up the legs on the bottom of the legs of this table, I used more jute just wrapped around and hot glued on. And then I just sat a basket that I had on hand on top. And this is the finished look. So chic and so beautiful. Now this Wreath Topiary I have displayed outside, but I think it would be so beautiful inside as well. I'm using some foam to insert into a Dollar Tree small terracotta pot. And then I used my little mini wreath that was from, I believe, Hobby Lobby. So it's just like a mini sized, very, very cheap and inexpensive, along with some floral wire that I used to keep it secured down into that foam. Of course, use hot glue here too. That's really going to help keep this upright. Now I just added some green floral moss to my topiary, but I would love to hear how you would decorate yours because I think this would be so beautiful for different holidays and seasons depending on how you decorated it. So leave me your ideas down in the comments below. This really stylish boho rug, I saw an inspiration one on Amazon and thought, I have all the supplies on hand. I can make my own. So I have a Dollar Tree, I'm not sure if it's a doormat or if it's a placemat, but it's a little bit bigger than a placemat and it's kind of the smaller in size of a front door rug. So it'd be really pretty if you layered this too, but I basically just wound jute around each other and made several circles and arranged them so they look kind of like a rainbow before adding some hot glue to the back of them and securing them in place. And then I took even more of that 4-ply jute and filled in the gaps, kind of more like a rainbow here, until I was kind of happy with the look. I really love the way this trendy rug turned out. It was under $10 to make, and I know it was more than double that for the Amazon one. So a fun project and also a budget-friendly decor piece. This is another one of my absolute favorite Dollar Tree DIYs. It's an antique faux mirror. I'm using some 1x2s, which are super inexpensive. You can get them for just about $1 at the hardware store, and I made a really simple and basic frame. Using them, I used some 3-inch long wood screws, just screwed in from the bottom into each side. You want to make sure you do pilot holes first, or you could even flip it over and use staples. And then I'm using some barbecue skewers that are the extra long size from Dollar Tree, and that's going to create the pattern on the inside. So I had to make a frame all the way around the inside that's going to give us a little lip for all of the cross pieces we're going to add, and it also hides some of the ugly glue that we're going to need to use to affix it all. So I cut a bunch of these bamboo skewers down to Ys. You'll see here in just a second how I arranged all of these. And this was super simple. I used some wire cutters and they snip really simple. So I have 7 at 13 inches long and 14 of them at 3.5 inches long. I made marks throughout my frame to keep everything even and placed so they would look nice when you flip it over. And those are the marks that I used to affix my little Ys to. You can see here, I just used hot glue. I have this little green mat underneath it that kept my countertop from being damaged by the hot glue. I will link that down in the description box if you're interested in those. They're like $10. It's one of those things that I just keep on hand for instances like this where I need to protect my counter. So you can see I have lots of those Y pieces created for the design. And then again, you see here I am using the hot glue to affix my Y shapes into place. I did have to do a little snipping here and there to make sure that they would fit in and sit nicely and stay evenly spaced. And again, here I'm doing my faux weathered wood look with a coat of gray chalk paint first, and then I dry brushed on a couple coats of white chalk paint on top of that. This piece is absolutely stunning. It's actually a pretty large size too. You could even take this idea and use a large picture frame from Dollar Tree and skip creating your own wood frame. I really wanted a large piece, which is why I created my own using the 1x2s, but you could make a smaller version too. These wood sconces turned out so cute. You can see here I used those trellis pieces again. They come in so handy. They're beautiful accent pieces. I used two 1x8s at 12 inches long and two pieces of 1x4 at 7.5 inches long. I'll be using my gray and white chalk paint again to finish these. If you can't notice a theme, I definitely love this weathered wood look. While my wood pieces were drying, I again took some snips and cut down my trellis pieces so they would look nice. You just need one section of these gate pieces or trim pieces from Dollar Tree and you'll get 4 little sections total. Now we're going to screw our shelves on. So I made sure to make little marks, 2 of them on each side of the back, so that each would be even when I go to attach it. I did want to drill pilot holes to make sure that my screws would not split the wood. So you can see here I'm using 1 1/4 inch wood screws that are going to go through the back and into the shelf to hold it into place. So I'm drilling those pilot holes into the back and then into the shelf pieces, and then use those wood screws to secure it. And then all there was left to do was add some hot glue to the back of those plastic pieces and put them into place. I added little glass square candle holders to the fronts of mine. I also wrapped them in some burlap ribbon and added some greenery to the shelves to decorate them up. Let me know down in the comments which one of these tutorials was your favorite. I'll have even more Dollar Tree DIYs popping up on your screen that you don't want to miss. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye everyone.